Hey guys, welcome to Cosmic Road. I hope you guys are having a terrific Saturday. It's beautiful here in Texas. The sun is actually out, which is amazing. It's been dark and gloomy for so long, rainy, and finally in the last few days, the sun has come out, and I am loving it. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today. Professor Simon just came out with a video saying that we are in touch with an alien civilization, a program analogous to SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence in Europe. Uh, they have made contact in 2019 with an alien civilization. So we can talk about that. We can talk about plasma beings and anything else you guys want to talk about. Yeah, ghost ETs, let's see. Yeah. Thank you guys. Welcome to Cosmic Road. Please hit like and subscribe and all that kind of great stuff. So Professor Simon is saying that a group similar to SETI in Europe has made contact with an alien civilization. They got these signals, and then they established contact with that civilization on a distant planet, like 11 light years away. Now, how can we have a dialogue with the civilization 11 light years away without waiting 22 years for a back and forth? Well, he says we use quantum tunneling to actually talk to these beings in real time, and that since 2019 we have been having a real-time dialogue with a civilization on a distant planet. Isn't that juicy? He doesn't know where the planet is, or he won't say. His source won't say. But yeah, that's the story, guys. What do you think? Now, from my own research, it appears that we've had contact with the beings for a long time. And I mean, they're here. We don't need to go 11 light years away. But abductees and contactees have reported seeing military people and government officials interacting with the beings during abductions and contact experiences for decades and decades. So, it seems like there's some sort of agreement with the control group, or with the deeper levels of the control group, to assist the beings in these abductions. I mean, I don't know how else you can read that. There's a lot of people that have had these experiences. I don't think they're making it up. I think that's a thing. Uh, so, but uh, so this contact that Professor Simon is talking about would be more of a mainstream science approach, but with the use of quantum tunneling. Now, I've heard of that before, and I kind of understand kind of the theoretical framework for how that would work. But I don't know the technology involved in that. Did we develop that technology ourselves? Did they give that to us in that first communication? Because it would have had to have been that first communication, right? Since we didn't wait 11 years or 22 years for a back and forth on that. Hey guys, we can hear you, but we want to talk in real time. Can you give us some tech? And then wait another 11 years for that. So I don't know exactly, how that interaction is taking shape, if it is taking shape. But isn't that an incredible idea, in a leak from this source in Europe to Professor Simon? Hard to verify. He says it's hard for him to verify, but he has verified the individual's identity. He won't reveal who that is, but it's a real person. He is who he says he is, apparently. So that's some juicy information, guys. I love it. And no clue on what the beings are saying or who they are. They're 11. They're a little bit more than 11 light years away. That's what Professor Simon says. So other than that, the source won't reveal, their exact location. Pleiades, wherever they are, they won't reveal. Maybe they're worried that we're going to contact them individually, and confuse the issue and get our wires crossed. Could be. So, is this a cover story to cover mainstream science acceptance of the UFO phenomenon? in getting us ready, because that's what Professor Simon says, is that since 2019, there has, because these individuals with this group that's analogous to SETI in Europe went to the UN and said, hey, we made contact with an alien civilization. And the UN said, oh, wow, okay, we'll talk to our alien guy. Yeah, because they already had an official, they had some office or whatever, of course they do, to deal with UFOs and ET matters. And so they took over and they developed this a 25-year plan of disclosure, which began in 2019, beginning with flooding the news media, etc., with UFOs and that kind of talk. And so he ties in David Grush with all of that. So is that believable? Because really the David Grush story began with Lou Elizondo in A-Tip coming out of the closet in 2017 at TTSA, getting those 3 videos out and everything, led to this grassroots movement putting pressure on Congress that led to the creation of the U.A.P task force, which was a continuation of A-Tip. And then David Grush was working with the U.A.P task force, now Arrow. And the continuation of the U.A.P task force is Arrow. Clearly, they've gone to the dark side. But back in the good old days, when Jay Stratton was running the U.A.P task force and David Grush was working with him, it seemed like it was an honest effort. So I don't think that you could tie David Grush in that version of disclosure in with the Professor Simon information. But that's he's more of a skeptic. He's a mainstream guy. He looks into this stuff, but he's a very skeptical person, and he doesn't believe in all the crazy weirdness that is out there. And hey, I get it, baby steps, but this is him saying there are aliens and that we are in touch with them. So this is a mainstream science. If you consider Professor Simon mainstream science, this is a mainstream science guy saying, yeah, we've got contact with an alien civilization. And that's huge progress in my mind. I mean, that's, it's not quite Avi Loeb or anything, but, it's still pretty cool. What do you guys, or what is your take on all of that before we move to the next story? And UFO arc, Jack, what country has made contact? I don't think Professor Simon said what country. It's in Europe. He wouldn't give the individual's identity, and I don't think he gave his country name either. So it's a good question, but we don't know. If you have been able to figure that out, let me know in the chat. But I didn't see him talk about that. What is is Professor Simon actually a professor? I've heard people debate that about his credentials. So I'm not going to go. I don't know. If you're a big follower of Professor Simon, let me know. Or if you've studied him, I see his videos every now and then, but this particular video was sent to me by multiple people. So I had to check it out, but I'm not a big follower of Professor Simon because he is such a mainstream science guy and is such a skeptic on all of this stuff. But it's a good question. Let's see. Professor Simon was not really a professor. That's what I've heard. And let's see. Reading your comments. Woo am I? I love that. Woo am I? You're the man, Jack. Thank you very much. Thank you for your dedication to these topics. What did you say came out about SETI? Where can I see this? Go to Professor Simon's channel on YouTube. He just came out with a video about this information, and he goes into a little bit more detail, but that's about the general thrust of it. And so have you let me know if you've seen the video and what your take on all of that is. Qigong Paradigm, I love that name too. Ross 128b is potentially habitable. Okay, 11 light years away. Okay, possible location for this stuff. Stuff the UN. Yeah, well, maybe. UFO arc. Professor Simon was a media studies lecturer. Okay. Clive says, oh God, I'll be 81. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that's the good thing. According to Professor Simon's information. Oh, well, you mean like the 25-year plan of disclosure? Yeah, that's lame. Yeah, I agree. What's with all these 25-year disclosure plans? We want disclosure now. We're ready, guys. We don't want to wait Linda Moulton Howe doesn't have 25 years. She deserves to see this happen, and as do a lot of people. And there have been a lot of great UFO researchers over the years that deserve to see all this come to fruition, like George Knapp. We don't need to wait for 25 years. Just get this stuff out there. Mercer Daly. So it was Stan Romanic. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but was he legit? Yeah, I mean, he's a controversial figure. Obviously, I think that he probably is legit. Obviously hard to confirm, but my read on Stan is that he's probably legit, and maybe he was framed. That's exactly the sort of thing they would do. So. But I don't want to get into all that. But yeah, I think Stan is probably legit. But let me know your thoughts. UFO Arc says, I bet it's France. Josh says, let's concentrate on the beings that are here. Yeah, that's where my mind goes. But we need mainstream scientific acceptance, right? We need the Professor Simons and Avi Loebs of the world to get on this and take this seriously, so that the general public will take this seriously, right? I'm crazy. I'm into the deep woo and the deep conspiracies, because that's where it goes. But in my mind, according to my research, but we do need the Avi Loebs of the world to get on that, and they are starting to. I mean, Avi Loeb is now openly talking about the possibility that there is a UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. And so, yeah, because he says his sources in the government told him that that's not crazy. So now Avi Loeb is saying that's not crazy. So, we are getting there. Baby steps, but we are getting there. Don says, hey, Jack Lantern. hey, Don, how's it going? Didier, I'm not going to be able to see your name. Didier Vondendale says, when the disclosure happens, what are you doing next? As Cosmic Road, do you want to be the new hitchhiker of the galaxy? Hell yes. Yes, I want to get out there into space. I could do my podcast from, 11 light years away or 100 light years away, man. Yeah, absolutely. And we got quantum tunneling. I can bring it to you in real time. I want to get out there. If this all goes down, as I dream about, with open contact and, UFO technology becoming like mundane, and we all getting our own UFOs or being able to hitch a ride aboard a UFO. Damn right, I'm getting aboard a UFO. If I'm in control, I don't want to be abducted. That doesn't sound super pleasant. But yeah, what do you guys want? What are you guys looking for disclosure? I doubt that's going to happen in my lifetime, but who knows? Who knows, right? Stay positive. Keep the pressure on. Penn says, names I distrust: Greer, Corbell, Grush, and Hancock. Oh man, you're way too hard on those guys. I go really hard on Greer, but he's brought some great whistleblowers forward over the years. He really has, and he's done some good work. And he's briefed presidents of the United States. He's popularized CE5. Now, I will give Stephen Greer crap all day long, because he totally deserves it, being as toxic as he is, and also the whole alien abduction thing really bothers me, him denying that phenomenon, when that is the reality that countless people around the world for many years have been experiencing. And it's a generational thing. And these guys are taken and abducted week by week, month by month, throughout their lives. This is not a small operation that's going on with the abduction phenomenon. It's a huge operation. They are doing something. And we need people to talk about that, and we need to explore that and get to the bottom of that, and possibly stop it if it needs to be stopped. Now, my mind is open to the possibility that they are upgrading humanity, but some people are having some bad experiences. Now, according to the Edgar Mitchell Foundation, astronaut Edgar Mitchell, 8 out of 10 people that have ongoing interactions with the phenomenon that are abductees have a positive view of their experiences. So that does give me a little hope. There are people that have very negative experiences that then segue to very positive experiences, like Whitley Strieber and Jim Sparks and many others. So, but even so, there's some scary stuff that people have had to endure in the abduction phenomenon. And for Stephen Greer to deny that just really pisses me off. But Greer has done some good work. Oh, and speaking of whistleblowers that he has brought forward, I'm supposed to interview Michael Herrera tomorrow. And yeah, I'm very excited about that interview with Michael Herrera, the UFO whistleblower, the man who saw the human flown and operated UFO in Indonesia that was being loaded with weapons and possibly people. Well, he has new information about psionics, the psychic people, and other stuff. And I think that he is going to start breaking some furniture, to use Lou Elizondo's words. I think he may be part of that movement from these whistleblowers to get the truth out and to stimulate, some disclosure. And so I'm gonna have him on the channel in the very near future. I'm hoping to interview him tomorrow. That's when we're planning to do it. And so maybe I'll have the interview for you tomorrow. If not, maybe Monday. So fingers crossed. We're really looking forward to that. So stay tuned. Don UFO Arc says, Don, who did you make contact with? Oh, I missed it. Is Don in contact? Don, are you a contactee? Penn says, Grush appeared so suddenly and on the scene before testifying. I've had my doubts about him since day one. All he brought to the table was hearsay. Well, no, not at all. He was an investigator that interviewed the participants in the program, and now we have 40 of those witnesses. 40 that Danny Sheehan says are all going to come out this year. Now, I would be shocked if we had 40 direct participants in the UFO reverse engineering and UFO crash retrieval program coming out in 1 year. That would be shocking to my core. But if that happens, great. If Danny's information is on the money, would that be amazing? And of course, Danny has great contacts that he's cultivated over many years, and he's he's the lawyer of Lou Elizondo and David Grush, so he is in a position to have some of this information. So fingers crossed. But yeah, David Grush isn't about hearsay, but I respect the criticism, and it's good to be skeptical. Not to just embrace everything that comes our way, right? We do have to keep our skeptical mind and what's the angle, right? What are they trying to sell us? So it's good to have a certain degree of skepticism, but I encourage people to be open-minded to the possibility that this stuff is real. So keep an open mind along with the skepticism is what I would recommend. Jacob says, hi sir, my name is Benjamin Husfeld. I saw a white flying saucer over my dad's grave by Army base in Albany, New York last summer, and they gang stalked me and harassed me and tried to kill me. So hang on. So when you say they gang stalked you, are you talking about the occupants of the UFO? Are you talking about the men in black? Can you give me some more information about that, Jacob? That sounds very, very scary. They're harassing you and tried to kill you in your own home. That sounds terrifying. I'm so sorry you had that experience. Josh says thousands of UFOs flying all over the planet would be the best disclosure. Really big ones. Can't wait for the interview. Yeah, me too, man. But yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are saying that we're going to have some mass disclosure event, some mass contact event with the phenomenon in either 2026 or 2027. Is that going to happen? Obviously, we'll have to wait to find out. That's a super juicy story. It seems like, open contact and disclosure is always just right around the corner. So these predictions make me nervous, but there are so many of them that all line up within that same time frame. And in fact, I did a video called Apocalyptic Modalities maybe about a year ago, where I discussed about 6 or 7 different apocalyptic modalities. And, keep in mind that the new world, ascension, fifth dimension, all that kind of stuff, often those stories begin after the destruction of the old world. You have to, so apocalyptic doesn't necessarily mean bad, and net bad anyway. But it may be rough times for us going through that transition if it does require the destruction of the old world, which I really hope it doesn't. So hopefully the 2027 contact will usher in open contact, raising our consciousness and all that good stuff without the destruction of the old world, because that would suck. Jacob, you have photo and video proof. That's amazing. Well, if you have like a YouTube channel, if you've uploaded that somewhere, can you share that link so that we can all explore that? That's amazing. And thank you very much for sharing. Let me see if you have replied about the beings that were trying to harm you. I'm not seeing that. But yeah, you said well, when you said the beings were trying to harm you in your own home. Were those humans? Were those were they the beings? Who was doing that? Stephen says, or Stefan says, the Inspector General found Grush's testimony urgent and credible. That's right. Right. Yeah. It's not hearsay. I mean, they're passing laws based on David Grush's information. It's not hearsay. So Don says, I've told you about this event, Jack. Okay. All right. Yeah. Don has told me about his contact experience. And yeah, Don has had some amazing contact experience. Yes, absolutely. Don, you've had some really, really incredible events happen in your life. And if you want to share that, publicly, you can feel free to let us know in the chat. I may need to have you on the channel someday to talk about it. I think that, hearing from experiencers is really the best way to get to the truth about all of this. And, that's why I had Nancy Timms on this morning, is because she's an experiencer. And whether you agree with her ideas or not, I think it's really important to hear from people that are actually interacting heavily with the phenomenon. And, the beings will tell people stuff, people will see stuff that, will give us a glimpse of the overall truth of this. Now, their take on it may not be our take on it, but I think it's important to hear what they have to say. But yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I want to start having more experiencers on to talk about this stuff. Let's see. Don says he called it in, and they met him halfway, so to speak. I missed something. Yeah, Don says, I wish I knew it was telepathic and fairly brief, but also very enlightening. Let's see. Okay. I think I missed something, but yeah, Don's told me more about his experiences before. Let's see. UFO Arc says, Jack, have you made a list of questions for Michael? Well, I'm thinking that Michael, I'm going to ask him some questions. Yeah, definitely. But I think he's probably got some new information to share with us. I think that he and David, are starting to open up more and share more. Maybe they're being allowed to share more. I know that Michael has been given information by some pro-disclosure advocates within the system, is my understanding. And he's even been taken to some interesting places, from what he's told me. And I don't want to get out ahead of him. I'll let him tell it in his own words. But I think that he has some new information to share with us. And so I'm not going to get out ahead of him with my questions, but I definitely have some questions for him. Absolutely. Yes, I do. Jacob says it was the Men in Black that were there. So the Men in Black tried to kill you in your own home. That's terrifying. Now, how did you escape? Would be my question. How do they not kill you? I mean, sorry, that sounds like a horrible question. But yeah, no, I'm very interested. Very interested. And were they the human Men in Black, or were they the inhuman Men in Black? Because I've seen many stories of the Men in Black, and sometimes they're inarguably human, and sometimes they're inarguably other. So I'd love more details about that. Oh, thank you very much, Clive. I appreciate that. Yeah, guys. If y'all wanted to leave a super chat super thanks like Clive to support Cosmic Road, that would be awesome. Also, if you leave a super thanks, I'll see your question right away instead of having to go through them one by one and maybe missing some. If you really want me to see your question, leave a super thanks. That's me shilling for change, but it's also just practically, I will see your question. As big and bold as highlighted. Gur Turk says 2024 was supposed to be the year. Now 26 to 27. They just keep pushing it out. I didn't hear 2024. What? Well, I mean, okay, so yeah, 2024 is supposed to be a big year. No, you're right. No, you're right. That hasn't changed. 2024 is set up to be a really great year. I think we're going to have a whole series of whistleblowers and information coming out in this year that's going to push the ball forward. I think that is still absolutely 100% on course. And we could have some real game changers and some real juicy bombshell information that's coming out this year. So 2024 is going to be a big year from what it's looking like right now. But 2026 or 2027 is when people say, multiple people say, we are going to have open contact with the phenomenon. So just to distinguish between 24 and 27, and well, what do we mean by open contact? Are we talking like Phoenix Lights, but in the daytime? Are we talking about, Chris Bledsoe in The Lady? Because, he believes The Lady might make a public appearance in Utah, at a specific place in Utah. And I've talked about this in a previous video, where he believes he was taken in one of his experiences. He went to a desert location and there were cliffs, and she came out of this defile in the cliffs and was interacting with him. And it sounded like this amazing experience. When I was hearing about it for the first time, I think that was actually through his son Ryan. I assumed that was Egypt, right? Because she's Hathor, or at least she might be the goddess Hathor of ancient Egypt. So, but Chris Bledsoe believes that's Utah. He believes he was taken to Utah, and he believes that's where she might make a public appearance in 27. So if that's a thing, I'm going there, guys. I am going to see the lady if that is a thing. We'll see. We'll see. UFO Arc says, Jack, can you ask Michael Herrera how did he know what was in the containers? He claimed it was people that had psychic abilities. That's right. From my understanding, I'll of course ask him, and he'll explain that in greater detail. I'm sure we're going to go into a lot about the psychics. I think that's one of our main topics of conversation. That's going to be the psychics, the psionics, as he calls them, and because we've talked on the phone about this, and so we're going to talk about that. I think that he was informed later when he was describing that experience to people. They said, "Oh, well, those containers are sometimes used to transport people." So, kind of scary. But yeah, so I think that information came to him later, and that's when he started saying that. But it's a great question. Light beings love says we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings have a human experience. Sorry, I'm burping so much. Just took a walk. I guess got some gas in my belly. But light being love, that is what a lot of people say, a lot of experiencers, like near-death experiencers. I've made a great study of near-death experiences. I've probably absorbed thousands of near-death experiences at this point, many, many hundreds, certainly over 1,000, maybe 2,000 near-death experiences, and probably a similar amount of UFO abduction experiences too. And yeah, there's a lot of near-death experiencers that say that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and I think that's probably true. I think you're right. I think we are spiritual beings, and there are people that recall past lives as aliens, as people on distant planets, and maybe they were that type of being for many generations. Kept on reincarnating as that being, and they identify more strongly with that being. That's a thing that comes up. So yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah, Jacob is going to upload under his real name, Benjamin Hosfeld. Okay, great. Well, when you upload those videos and those photos, please let us know if you have time today. Absolutely share those links with us. I think we'd all love to see that. And also when the video goes on YouTube when it's finished, all the the chats, people may not be able to see the chats. I'm trying to figure out a way so that people can still see the chats. But leave a comment so people that see this later can view that. Fawn Namira says, I used to have grays looking in windows at the house and hiding behind shower curtain. Got so bad I remodeled the bathroom. Well, did remodeling the bathroom help? I'm sorry. I'm sorry they're peeking at you in your shower. I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah, let me know if remodeling helps. And I'm sorry you're having that experience. Yeah, who knew that grays were peeking at people in their showers? That's not cool, grays. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Thalmod says the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Yeah, disinformation agent in chief. Don says, I would tell my story, although I have no proof. I will say I have no proof. Well, that's how it is with most experiencers, Don. And some of them do have evidence, implants or scars, or, some of them have other witnesses that have seen stuff, or, even landing imprints, of the craft. But by and large, it's just a personal testimony. And to me, that's evidence. Some people, don't think that qualifies as evidence, but clearly people have been sent to death row based on witness evidence and witness testimony. So I think that bears a lot of weight. So I don't, yeah. So feel free to share your story if you want to. Sub 404 says, cheers from Brazil. Hey, thank you, Brazil. Oh, I wanted to talk about Brazil for a minute because somebody from Brazil, because I talk about what's going on in South America because I think that's very important. And I have some people from South America watch the show, and one of them sent me this thing that I had never seen before. 1986 Brazilian UFO incident. I had never heard about this. This is from Wikipedia. On May 19, 1986, a series of radar and visual contacts with UFOs took place across the Brazilian states of Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Minas Gerais, and I said that right. And I'm butchering all these names, but it became known as the Night of the UFOs. At around 8:15 p.m. on the 19th of May, 1986, Sergio Moda da Silva, an air traffic controller at an airport, spotted three bright lights hovering over the airport in the night sky. And another airport detected contacts in the vicinity of Sao Jose dos Campos. Sergio observed the objects with a pair of binoculars, noticing that they seemed to emit a bright red light, but often changing colors to yellow, green, and orange like. But yeah, there was a whole series of air bases and airports that were seeing UFOs on this one night, May 19th in 86 in Brazil. And it was this big thing. There's various UFO flaps that have occurred over the years in various places, notably like Belgium and in New England. That there are these incredible UFO flaps, sometimes occurring over a period of time. But they had one huge UFO flap in Brazil over one night. They call it the Night of the UFOs. So another amazing thing that has happened in Brazil, and I love it. It's just amazing. And thank you, viewer who sent me that. And if that was you, let me know in the comments below or in the chat. Let's see. But yeah, what is going on in South America? They have such a long history of contact there, and or very overt contact. I mean, we've got bodies. We've got bodies, guys. They say we have possibly over 100 bodies of the Nazca mummies. Over 100 of these things. So, are they all going to be revealed to the public? It looks like in a few days or maybe a couple of weeks, we are going to have some big event. I think there's going to be a hearing. Is that in Peru or Mexico? But we are due to get some major reveal. The next shoe is going to drop in the Nazca mummy situation by that time. And I am so excited, guys. I'm so excited. Of course, they're teasing us about various mummies. They're teasing us about the gray alien type of mummy that I showed the other day that looks so much like a gray alien. And they're also teasing us about the giants, these 3-meter tall giant beings that were mummified in the Nazca region and that were, alien or hybrid. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Hey, Silverbuzz from Spain. How's it going? Adam says, just checking in from Florida. Welcome from Florida. I've never been to Florida. My wife has been there and she loves it. And I hope to go there soon. We almost went there a few months ago. Cyberspace says, I went to that place again last night. It's in between awake and asleep. You'll know if you get there. Crystal clear awareness. Nice, nice. Jacob says, it was daytime too. What I saw was in front of a plane, so I have references to size and shape and exact distance away and speed. There were a ton of deer in the graveyard the next day. Wow, that's weird. And there's never deer the whole 15 years I've been going there. It's kind of downtown. Wow. Okay. So in a downtown graveyard, a whole bunch of deer. That's interesting. Interesting. Adam says cyberspace. Next time you're there, ask them what day and time it is. Okay. Johnny Duran says the person that reunited with passed away relatives with the trip in a flying saucer wrote that they were on a planet in orbit around a quasar. Okay, very interesting. I've actually come across that multiple times, Johnny, where people have seen dead loved ones aboard a UFO. I've seen that. I don't want to say a lot, but it's not uncommon. It's really not. Now, some of those are probably placeholder memories or screen memories, but are thought projections, to calm people down. But some of them probably aren't. People see dead people they're not related to and don't have any connection with. They'll see Einstein or Tesla aboard a UFO working on some problem. They're still working on stuff, still doing stuff. Still, these spirits are, I don't know if they had, were reconstituted in flesh at that point or what, but yeah, just a crazy stuff. People were seeing Einstein and Tesla aboard UFOs. That's nuts. And they're doing stuff. They're working with the beings, working on technology or something. It's crazy. And yeah, the giants. Yes, show those giants. Absolutely. Achinger, I love it. Jack, field hearings from Tim Burchett. Any dates? No, we don't have any dates or locations. I don't know where it's going to be. It could be, in Tim's backyard. But yeah, if you guys didn't hear, we're going to get new UFO field hearings. They may not be in Congress, but the House Oversight Committee, Tim and Anna and Muskowitz and all those guys, they are going to have field hearings where we are going to get new witnesses. I think these are going to be the witnesses that Dana Sheehan was talking about, the witnesses that Tim and the others alluded to when they came out of that skiff where they were able to get access to the David Grush information finally, where the IG actually threw him a bone and gave him something. Well, I shouldn't say he threw him a bone because the IG has actually been fairly helpful, surprisingly helpful. But yeah, so no, we don't know when those field hearings are going to be, and we don't have a location. I wish we did. That's a great question. And as soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know. And if you see it before I do, let me know. That's an important question. Martin says, could South America or Mexico be part of a form of catastrophic disclosure? You mean if the phenomenon wanted to reveal itself to the public, would they start there? Absolutely. I mean, I hope the face peeling phenomenon is not part of the catastrophic disclosure. I hope that's separate. I hope that's us. I hope that's us. But yeah, absolutely. What's going on in South America could be part of that. I mean, it doesn't seem planned because these are bodies that have been stored there. I mean, if it's like the Nazca mummy thing, that have been there for 1,000 or 2,000 years. But maybe finding them as part of the disclosure or something, right? It's a good question. Good question. Anita from Oklahoma says, hey, fellow Southerner, nice. I have lived here all my life and never seen anything. I had to go to Colorado before I saw a UFO. Well, I think Colorado is a hot spot. So I think they probably have some bases in the Rockies. But that's really interesting. Yeah, if you want to share more about your experience, please do. Jacob says, I thought the alien ship I'd seen was my dead dad's spirit, but it's obviously ET. That's interesting. You say that. I wonder why you thought it was your father's spirit. But yeah, there is a lot of spiritual crossover with UFO stuff and a lot of synchronicities and other things. I mean, my own UFO experience was very spiritual or metaphysical or consciousness based, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I've talked about that on the channel before. You can go watch my dedicated video about that called the Jesus Ayahuasca UFO. It's in the, I wasn't on ayahuasca when I saw the UFO, don't worry. But it was connected to an ayahuasca experience, and you'll see what I mean by that if you watch the video. But it's in the playlist called Experiences, where I give a few of my experiences with the metaphysical and UFO stuff, my own personal experiences. I talk about that in that playlist. Some of my experiences. Let's see. Johnny says, I heard of a story about a contactee had a trip with someone on a flying saucer and was taken to their past relatives who passed away, just like people talked about during an NDE. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between NDEs, near death experiences, and UFO abductions. And I talk about that a lot because I think that's very important. It's also really interesting that 30% of all alien abductees are near death experiencers. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I believe that statistic is coming to us from the Edgar Mitchell Foundation that has done a lot of research into this stuff. So if you haven't checked out the Edgar Mitchell Foundation and their research, they have some really great statistics and good research. But yeah, there's a lot of spiritual encounters with UFOs, and it's crazy. It's weird. Turk says ACT recordings, ATC recordings released a couple of days ago, conversations with multiple pilots witnessing triangle shapes around, is that 50,000 feet? Wow, that's crazy. Well, I need to check out ATC recordings. And if you guys have seen that, let me know what you thought about that. Merrick Cause says giants 3 meters high are not giants. Some basketball players are almost 2.4 meters high. Well, okay. If you don't think 3 meters high is a big deal, then all right. It's 10 feet high. It's pretty big. It's pretty big. But if you think a giant alien with 3 fingers and weird anatomy is just nothing to sneeze about, then okay. But at the very least, 10-foot tall, giant pterodactyl with weird physiology is not going to be dismissed as a doll. It's going to be very hard to debunk that. It would be very hard to create, manufacture, and why would they do it? Why would they have created any of these dolls? Because they're not selling them on the black market, right? If they were creating them for a profit motive, they would be selling them on the black market. And I'm sure there have been some that have been sold to the black market. I know there have. But the ones that we're talking about, the 20 to 100 bodies, are available and they are not on the black market. So, clearly they were not designed for profit. So, yeah, they've been through the CAT scans and all sorts of stuff. So I've talked about all that a lot. But if you haven't seen the research on the Nazca mummies, I definitely encourage you to check it out. But you're probably just being snarky about there being very tall basketball players. And there are some very tall basketball players. Then there are people that have had gigantism that are, essentially giants, right? That are 9 feet tall or whatever. 100%. But yeah, Stina says, hypothetical question. If you got to meet an alien face to face in a safe environment, not as an abductee, what species would you choose and what would you do to ask them and why? Well, the most positive experiences that I've seen that are most commonly reported, because there are definitely some standalones, are with the Nordics, right? With the human looking beings. People, I mean, they'll teach people about chakras and how to read auras, and people have had very positive experiences with those human looking aliens. Are they really human looking? Do they just make themselves look human to make us feel comfortable? I don't know. Dick Algier says when he was interacting with one through a remote viewing session, it would change shape constantly, and sometimes it looked more like a cat man. And then he referred to it as the cat man. So I don't know if they really look human or not, but most experiences with them are positive. There are some outliers, but most experiences with them are positive. And most experiences with mantid beings are fairly positive. Um, but there are some negative ones as well. And that's, as above, so below, right? There's variety in all things, and there's good and bad in all species at, every level. So, it's, I want one of the good guys, whoever they are, whatever they look like. It's, but it's a good question. Well, which one would you like to meet? Um, yeah, Martin says, I see me a Bigfoot once. An inside voice snuck out. Nowhere did he remember that quote from. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I would like to see a Bigfoot. That'd be cool. Johnny says, sounds like the face peelers are human or human hybrids doing dirty work for tall aliens in the trees for exchange of technology. And the aliens would say it's us doing it to get away with it. Andre the Giant. Yeah. Andre was a big guy. He really was. Yeah, well, very interesting theory, Johnny. Totally possible. Yeah, 3 meter tall females. Jacob says, make funny faces and point and gesture charades. Okay. Oh, well, about communicating with the beings. Yeah. P. Victor says Pleiadians. Yeah. Those are the human looking ones. From, that's what I often see the human looking ones called as the Pleiadians, or, Billy Meyer, the Pleiadians. Pleiadians. What did Billy Meyer call them? Jacob says, I really think Mr. Burchett played poker. I believe that sounds fitting. Okay. All right. Don, I want to meet whomever our gods or creators are. Oh, good answer. Good answer, Don. AK Shadow says, you're awesome, Jack. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. You're awesome too, AK Shadows. So what are your thoughts on Bill Carson and his work on the Emerald Tablets? Well, I like Bill Carson a lot. I don't necessarily trust all his information, I'll be honest. But I like him and I listen to what he has to say. I'm fascinated by the Emerald Tablets. The Emerald Tablets are really interesting. For a while I thought they were BS. But then I listened to Matthias DeStefano, who can remember all his past lives, according to him. And he is somebody that has legit abilities that have been witnessed by many other people, controlling weather, summoning fire, all sorts of things that Matthias can do. So when he says he can recall past lives, I tend to believe him. And he remembers one life lived in Atlantis where he actually got to meet Thoth, Hermes, who wrote the Emerald Tablets. And he said he was a human of some sort of priest class, but those of that order were like a higher order of being. They had learned how to, like transmute their own flesh or whatever, through their esoteric learning and their, interaction with beings. They had, ascended in a way. Thoth, survived Atlantis and, wrote the Emerald Tablets, I guess, when he was in Egypt. So, really interesting that Matthias validates the existence of Thoth as a real live being. So maybe the Emerald Tablets are legit. Maybe I need to study the Emerald Tablets. Maybe I need to learn the truth that Thoth knew and learn to transmute my own flesh or whatever. I don't know. Sounds kind of crazy. Could happen though. I mean, I learned Reiki. I've had some really amazing experiences where I know stuff is possible. And yeah, so that'd be cool. If any of you have gotten into any of that, let me know what your experiences have been. Bob Bergen says insectoids. There you go. Thank you. Well, there have been people that have had very positive experiences with the mantis beings, right? There are people that even have familial relationships with mantis beings that will refer to them as mother, for example. They'll have a relationship with a particular being and they'll call it mother. This 9-foot tall mantis being. Light Being Love says Grant Cameron says that disclosure is happening through the people who are questioning with an open mind and consciously connecting. This is purposeful, as is not chaos. We are disclosure. Oh, I love that. Light Being Love. That's great. Yeah, I interviewed Grant a few weeks ago. Yeah, if you haven't seen that interview, go check it out. Love Grant. Huge fan of Grant Cameron. Talks a mile a minute, though. Man, keep up with Grant. Good luck. Changing mass consciousness is an individual responsibility. Okay, I like it. Jacob says, strangely enough, they raised the price of that cheap old phone to more than the new ones. Strangely like they know. Okay, all right. Matthew says, why Greer is not legitimate to your eyes. Well, I've just talked about Greer. I hate to go over that again, but Greer has done some good stuff. He's brought some great whistleblowers forward, some great witnesses forward. He's briefed presidents about the UFO phenomenon. We have him to thank for the Eric Davis Wilson memo. He was, indirectly responsible for the creation of that. And he's popularized CE5, which I view as extremely important to disclosure, because we don't need the government. We can just get out there ourselves and interact with the phenomenon. And he has popularized that. So Greer's done some good stuff. But he has spread a lot of toxicity among the community and smeared a lot of people, especially like Lou Elizondo, who's the one that really kickstarted this whole thing. We wouldn't be having this conversation without Lou. I wouldn't be here, and many others. So, love Lou, and also discrediting alien abductions as Greer does, saying there are no alien abductions, invalidating countless people's lived experience. Just really, really bothers me. And it's disinformation. I mean, there are alien abductions. So, that is disinformation that Greer spreads. So I don't like disinfo. That's why I have a problem with Greer. But he has done some good stuff. So, Luke says, great show as always, Jack. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. I know there's some other stuff I want to talk to you about. Yeah. Some people are saying that there's a new article on AOL.com that multiple people have sent me talking about Foo Fighters. What are the real Foo Fighters? And the thrust of the article is saying that now scientists are saying that Foo Fighters were actually they were plasma beings. They were living entities of plasma. And I think that's an exciting idea. I love the idea of plasma beings. But I do disagree with their conclusions that is what Foo Fighters are. I actually did a video some months ago talking about research done by the great UFO researcher Wendell Stevens. And he did a really thorough presentation about the Foo Fighters, where he showed that the Foo Fighters, they're just UFOs. They show exactly the same range of objects as we see in the skies today, from triangles to cigars, to saucers, to orbs, to you name it. They were seeing all that over the battlegrounds of World War II. And, famously, we know of the luminous orbs, but they were seeing everything else as well. In my mind, plasma beings is not an explanation for the totality of the Foo Fighters. But I mean, they could have been there. There could have been some plasma beings. We could be seeing some plasma beings right now. I think that's an exciting possibility and totally possible. I think it's really neat. Have you guys seen that research? What is your temperature on the whole plasma being thing? Oh, thank you very much, AKA Shadows. I appreciate that. The super thanks. And if you guys want me to see your comment for 100%, leave a super thanks, because I will see your comment right away. Otherwise, I'm just going through it, and I'm going to try to get to your comment, but I know I'm missing some. So, but if you want me to definitely respond to your comment, leave a super thanks, because I will see it immediately. Let's see. Yeah, Matthew says, thanks for your answer. No problem, Matthew. Thank you for the question. And thank you all for the questions, guys. You all have great things to say. Jacob says, that's why I froze when I saw it. Well, let's see. Okay. What did you see, Jacob? Abduction is scary. Yeah. And that's why he froze when he saw it. Didn't want it to harm my mom. Yeah. That's scary, man. That's scary. Abduction, when it goes after family members, oof, I can only imagine how scary that would be. Um, we'll see. Peter says, because Don is replying to Peter saying he was okay till his head swelled into a pumpkin. Oh, what happened? Whose head swelled into a pumpkin? I missed that, Peter. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of your comments. Sorry about that. Yeah, AK Shadow says, I'm still on the fence about Billy Myers, but thanks for the reply and your insight. I think he may be onto something. Yeah, well, Billy, about Billy Carson. Okay, yeah, yeah. I don't know what to make about Billy Carson. He has interesting things to say, but I don't necessarily agree with some of his research or conclusions. But he definitely covers some interesting topics. Yeah, New Choice says mantis people are like monks, very patient and stoic. Okay, interesting. Do you have personal interactions with the mantis beings, or is that just from your research? Let's see. All right. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Matthew was talking about Greer. Yeah, I talked about Greer. And Light Being Love says, I love him too. Talking about Grant Cameron. Yeah, he's awesome. Luke Skywalker. Yeah, okay. I've done that. The Stina says the mantis seems super interesting. Insects on Earth seem to have a sense of beauty. I mean, flowers aren't designed for humans. Do insectoid NHI experience beauty too? Are there mantis artists? Great question. When people go aboard the ships, they don't see a lot of like aesthetically pleasing stuff. Occasionally they will, but they're not like seeing art hanging from the walls or anything. But the mantis beings, they do like their capes with the high collars. I know it sounds like a Star Trek alien, but that's how they roll, according to many experiencers. So I guess there is some fashion up there, right? And if there's fashion, there's probably art. I hope so. It'd be an awfully boring universe if it was just populated by beings that didn't have a love of art and beauty. So, great question. And if there's any experiencers here who have encountered art or music among the beings, please let us know. Now, when people have near death experiences, they talk about the music all the time. Music is very important in those realms, it has great significance in those realms, as do colors and beauty in near death experiences. So it's a stark difference between near death experiences and abductions. But there are a lot of um, a lot of YouTube is telling me to celebrate AK Shadow's first super on a live stream. So thank you, AK Shadows. I'm celebrating your first super. Consciously Unaware says, I had to listen to Grant Cameron on slow speed. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck keeping up with Grant. But he has great information and he's had some amazing experiences, and his mind is very open. And he and I have done a lot of the same research, looking at those, the research that's done to teach people how to see without their eyes. Have y'all seen that? That's crazy. There are actually kids that learn to run obstacle courses blindfolded, and they can like draw and they can read with these big thick military grade blindfold on, and they're seeing with their third eye or their astral body or whatever. And I started researching that, and then I saw like Grant was researching that, and he started talking about that on his show, and I thought that was really cool. And that's happened several times with me and Grant, where I found that he's been researching and talking about something that I had been researching and talking about, or at least researching. Um, yeah, yeah. So Grant is awesome, but you do have to really listen because he talks fast. Let's see. I remind you of Tom Mancini. I don't think I know Tom Mancini. I'll be honest. Who is that? Solaria Esoterica says, did you see the recent video of the being chasing a guy in the jungle? I may have missed that. Yeah, if you can link to that, that'd be cool. I'd like to check that out. Although that sounds scary, I would not want to be chased through the jungle by a being. What was the story behind that? Mantra says, love others, and this will be the mustard seed that blossoms heaven. Okay, I like that. I like that. Terrence says you're crushing it. All right, well, thank you, Terrence. I appreciate that. Y'all are crushing it too, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your great comments. AI says Foo Fighter, Pretender. My favorite song over there is, yeah, the Foo Fighters are great. Jacob says they die just like us. We just have to get close. That sounds alarming, Jacob. Yeah, there is that one experiencer, or he claims to be an experiencer. He goes around killing grays in his house with a machete, and he's claimed to have like killed over 40 grays with a machete in his own home. You know, is that legit? I don't know. I don't know. It's a hell of a story, though. Oh, hey, Jim, how's it going? He says, who did your Cosmic Road artwork on that poster behind your right shoulder, Jack? Oh, I got a guy on Fiverr to do that. I love that. It's on my coffee mugs too. And yeah, I just love that art. Yeah, I look for a Fiverr artist to do some trippy artwork for Cosmic Road, and I like the cut of that guy's jib, so I got him to do it. I can't remember what his name is. I'll have to get back to you on his name. Stina says, being an artist myself, can't help obsess about what my potential alien colleagues might do. I know, right? With alien technology and higher consciousness, can you imagine the art they could be capable of? New Troy says, meditation and dreams can lead you to meet a mantis. They don't move or talk much. Okay. I've heard that mantis beings incarnate into this dimension from a higher dimension. If you've interacted with them or researched them heavily, can you confirm that? That is what I've heard. They are higher dimensional beings that are not native to our 3D or our three dimensions. P. Victor says, we all have potential psychic abilities. Humans are amazing species. We all have psychic abilities. We all have healing abilities. We can all do telekinesis. We can all do all of that. We all have our native right to all of these abilities, and they have been suppressed and hidden from us. And it really pisses me off, guys. I really pisses me off. Now that I've interacted with this and learned to do some of this stuff, the thought that I could have been doing this all my life and that we could all be doing this really ticks me the hell off. We could all be having out of body experiences, all this stuff. We could have been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years. And this information has been suppressed and hidden, I think, deliberately. So is that the church? Did it happen before the church? I don't hear about ancient Romans having, a lot of out of body experiences. So it must have been happening before then. But yeah, man, we can all do this stuff. We are all capable of amazing abilities in interactions with the phenomenon. And when I say the phenomenon, I'm talking about the greater phenomenon, not just UFOs. UFOs, in my mind, are a subset of the greater phenomenon that includes metaphysical stuff, consciousness stuff, cryptids, time travel, the whole shebang. It's all connected in my mind. And UFOs aren't even a distinct subset. They are baked into all of it. But yeah, guys, we can all do this stuff. We are all magical beings, magical spiritual beings. I know for a fact. I was an atheist and a materialist a few years ago, thought all this stuff was pretty silly. And people that talked about this were new age hippie fools, and a few years later down the line, I'm the, biggest one of all, but I've actually interacted with it, and everybody can. And people have, there are people that, I mean, when they die, they turn into rainbows, guys. I mean, that's the rainbow light body, the Tibetan rainbow light body. There's even pictures of people going through that transition. Kind of gruesome seeing them shrink, but they can fit into a little ice box by the end. It's pretty gross, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah. Life is crazy, guys. The universe is crazy. Jacob says Spielberg made Falling Skies. It's odd how many aliens movies he has made. Yeah, totally. Love Spielberg. Love, he is I was born in '76, and Spielberg has been a huge part of my life. I haven't seen The Fablemans. Is that any good? It's one of maybe like the only Spielberg movie I haven't seen. Light Being Love says if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Yep, that's what Tesla said. That's right. Love it. Great quote from Tesla. I think there's a lot of truth. I think that he was really tapping into something. I think he was interacting with the phenomenon. Stina says, find lost keys or spy on underground bases. Yeah, that's right. With remote viewing, 100%. Remote viewing is amazing. We can all do it, guys. Anybody can learn remote viewing. I have friends that are currently learning how to do that. I need to start putting up shields. I don't want people spying on me in the shower. Let's see. They probably have better things to do with their remote viewing abilities. Let's see. Bob says, I call it imagination. Well, but some of these things can be verified. Some of these things can be confirmed. Thank you so much, Lauer Star. Really appreciate that. Watching from Ireland. Awesome. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. I'm a little Irish and I would love to go there. I would love to go there. I think I'm like 30% Irish. Yep. Love it. Love it. Let's see. Jacob says Tesla lived here in Albany. Oh, well, Schenectady, next town over. Very cool. Woo Am I says, ever experimented with binaural beats? I have. I've experimented with binaural beats. It was really interesting because I was talking. Yeah, I've got the whole gateway process on my computer. I was actually talking with somebody in a live stream like last week who said their experience with binaural beats was opposite to what I had always heard, which was their connection with spirit got lessened when they did binaural beats. What's up with that? Really? Lessons? I thought that was supposed to help. So now I'm like all confused about binaural beats. But yeah, let me know if you've experimented with binaural beats and what your experience has been. Light Being Love says, I think we live in a mental universe, and I think we are collectively creating our own personal experiences as well as adding to the collective consciousness and experience. Yeah, I think yeah, I tend to agree. Love it. Love it. Bob says, I believe we are working in a reality that what we think becomes reality. Yeah, text to image. Yeah. I think that, I think there's a lot of truth to what you guys are saying. I think that it's very possible that we can either manifest our reality or that we can align ourselves, attune ourselves, to use a Reiki term, attune ourselves to the reality that we want. Because it could be that we are existing in a place where there are countless possible timelines occurring simultaneously, and our own consciousness might affect the timeline that we choose to get on. Now, there are obviously some flaws in that theory. I've got a bad knee. I have to do constant physical therapy on my knee just to walk normally. And I don't think I would have chosen that timeline if I could have chosen. Obviously, bad things happen to people, irrespective of their consciousness. I believe. I don't think that's because my vibes were low. That accident that led to that. But I do think that there is a lot of truth to the idea that we can align ourselves. We can tune into the frequency that we want. It may not be 100%. Hey, it may be 100%. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of truth to that possibility. And I try to tune myself into that as well. I don't practice manifestation, but I do try to keep my vibes high and keep in mind what I want my life and my world to look like, and try to tune into that as much as I can. Now, to do that like 100%, you'd have to put some blinders on, right? Like you'd have to tune out everything you don't like, ignoring the bad stuff. But I feel obligated to pay attention to some of that bad stuff because you need to stop it, right? You can't stop it if you got blinders on. So it's really kind of a delicate balancing act there. And I would love to see how you guys deal with that because I'm still struggling with that whole idea. Jacob says, I think they're messing with the frequencies to make us not like the sound of gas cars or something to go electric. Okay, I totally missed what you guys are talking about. Um, Remote viewing, will we have laws to protect privacy? Exactly, UFO Arc. If everybody can do this, there's people that are going to be doing it improperly. Yes, there's some pervs out there. They're going to be they're going to be doing this improperly. So how can we not do that? I believe that there are probably protected sites on Earth and outside of Earth. Places like Area 51 and others may have people with abilities that can block or misdirect or confuse remote viewers. Now, I have seen what might be successful remote viewings of Area 51 in deep underground military bases, showing these levels upon levels and these, with all these aliens and stuff. And, this high interaction with the phenomenon there. And, I've seen a lot of research or a decent amount of research to back some of that up, that deep stuff is going on. That would explain why there are humans assisting in abductions and stuff like that, right? So, but could that be a misdirect by people with abilities who have tried to remote view those facilities? I don't know. But yeah, so I do think there are probably psychic blocks you can put in place to prevent prying eyes. But I don't know enough about it. If you do, please let me know, because I think that's an important question. I think that's a great question. Vision Seeker says, how do we know you're not part of the control group? How do I know you're not part of the control group, Vision Seeker? But I know, right? It's all a psyop, guys. It's all a psyop. Jacob says, think they're messing with the frequency. I know, I got the heebie-jeebies just answering that question. Jacob says, think they're messing with the frequencies to make us not like. Okay, I've done that one with the 5G towers because nobody even uses 5G. LOL. Terrence says other channels should take notes on how to put out such awesome content. You tell him, Terrence. You tell him. Let's see. Jacob says, oh man, that sucks. My dad had knee replacement at like 40. Yeah, I'm probably going to have a knee replacement at some point. I probably need a knee replacement. But I just got some new exercises that I just learned a few weeks ago that have been really helping me. There's actually this occupational therapist that taught me this stuff. She also does Reiki, and she has this intuitive ability to sense what will help you. But she taught me these very practical exercises to loosen my ligaments on my knee. She says it wasn't the muscles that were the problem, because I've been doing physical therapy for years on my knee, trying to build up the muscles so that I could walk normally. She says, well, it's not actually the muscles that are a problem. It's the ligaments that are the problem. They're too tight. They're too inflexible. And so she taught me a series of exercises for my knee, or not really for my whole knee, but just for the ligaments, just massaging those ligaments and doing some exercises to loosen my knee up. And that has really helped a lot. That has really helped a lot. So maybe put off my knee surgery for a few years. But yeah, knee surgery sucks. My mom's had knee surgery. My aunt had both knees replaced at the same time. No thanks. Light being love, vibrational frequency. Check out the map of consciousness by David Hawkins. Okay, I have never seen David Hawkins. I don't know his material. Good idea. Jamie says, Jack, isn't the way the phenomenon buzzes the military inconsistent with it working with the military? Well, that's a great question, Jamie. The phenomenon isn't monolithic. There are all sorts of different races and factions, and from my research. Don't take anybody word for 100%. I encourage everybody to do their own research. But from my research, there are many different races and many different factions. There are many different factions within the races. You'll have good beings, good grays, and you'll have bad grays. And, to get an idea of what that might look like, you can read some of the juicy channeled information or information gathered from high level experiencers. Ashiana Dean wrote a couple of books. One of them is called The Voyagers, The Sleeping Abductees, where she goes into great detail about all of this stuff. Now, again, take everything with a grain of salt. You can read that in conjunction with the Law of One in the books of Seth, and that will give you an idea. And I have not read all of those. I've read the Voyagers, and I've read about the Law of One in the books of Seth. I understand a lot of the information in those, and they line up pretty well with the Voyagers. But they all have a little difference, a few differences and a few inconsistencies with each other that really bothers me. But that's the way it is with channeled information. Is that any information that you're getting from experiencers also, in large part, you're getting people's interpretations of their experiences and of the information the beings are giving them. So you're going to see these inconsistencies, but overall, you do see this broad picture. You understand maybe how the grays became as they are, as we seem to know them, to the extent that you can understand the phenomenon, and how there may be grays that came here for selfish motives, to further or save their own race. And I've talked about that before and why that may be disinformation. But they may have come here for selfish motives. But once they were here, the beings that practiced the law of one, that we're all one, we're all in this together, and they are service to others oriented. How they basically converted a lot of the grays. And now you have a bunch of the grays that practice the law of one and that believe in a service to others point of view instead of a service to self point of view. So, that's just one possible example of about the way things may have played out. Again, take everything with a grain of salt. But yeah, the phenomenon for my research isn't monolithic. So that's why you could have UFOs buzzing a plane, and being some of them shooting at planes, or being hostile to human activity, and others that are working with humans. Now, the ones that are, the control group could be working with the bad guys, right? They could be shooting at the good guys and working with the bad guys. Bad guys. I don't put anything past the control group. I think that's totally possible. And I've got to go soon. I got to go do some family stuff. But if you guys have any burning questions, let's try to do another 5 minutes. Let's see. Jacob says there's been a lot of graffiti lately of alien beings. That's interesting. Alien graffiti is popping up, or graffiti with aliens. That's wild. To serve man. How to serve man. Yeah, I hope not, Jim. From the Twilight Zone episode, that does not sound pleasant. So Lauria says, I sent the video in Facebook. Okay. Can't send here for some reason. Okay, well, I'll look on Facebook. I'll look on Facebook. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys want to communicate with me, Facebook's one way. Oh, Michael Herrera. Michael Herrera just joined the chat. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. If you missed my announcement early in the chat, I told everybody that I was going to interview you tomorrow. And, it's not going to be a live interview. It's going to be a taped interview that will either go up tomorrow or Monday morning, if everything works out. But yeah, everybody, I am going to interview Michael Herrera, famous UFO whistleblower, Michael Herrera, tomorrow, guys. I am super pumped about that. So let me know what questions you think I should ask Michael. But I do think that Michael has some new information that he is going to share with us. And I am very excited about that. And I can't wait for that. So it's awesome, Michael. Thank you for joining us. Now let's see. Yeah, I am ready. AK Shadow says, "I have a good night." You have a good night too, AK Shadows. Jacob says, "Serving man is what those people were saying to me when they came into my home." Ugh. Oh, you mean the Men in Black when they came into your home? They were saying that. That I mean, I don't know the full story, but that sounds dire. Yeah, Lightning Love says channeled messages are definitely profound. I recommend listening to channelers who've been doing it for decades. Bashar, Abraham, Edgar Casey, Seth was great. Yeah, yeah. Josh says, thanks again, Jack. Good day. Nice. Derek says, Jack, what part of Austin did you grow up around? I'm curious if we know any of the same people. I was Northwest. I grew up in Westlake. I was born in Central Austin, and we moved to Westlake, and I grew up there through high school. Now, as an adult, I've lived in different places. Oh, and when I was a junior in high school, I moved to Houston to live with my dad. 16-year-old boy sometimes needs a dad and not a mom, but sorry, moms, but yeah, at that point I needed a dad. But after I graduated high school in Houston, I moved back to Austin, and I went to UT, University of Texas. That's where I graduated and met my wife. And I've lived in Northwest Austin, like the Archstone Far West area, for years. I lived in the Northeast Austin, Round Rock, Pflugerville, that area for years. That's where I'm immediately coming from prior to moving where I am now in College Station. Yeah, I've also lived in South Austin, and I've lived in the Zilker area for a few years. I loved living in the Zilker area. We had a duplex there. It was tiny. Our side of the unit was like 750 square feet. But it was a great place to live, and it appreciated very well. And anyway, but yeah, so yeah, I love Austin. I've lived all over Austin. Huge, big Austinite. Lived there most of my life. I have lived out of state, and I've also lived in San Antonio for 3 years. Lived in Oregon. Sorry if you're from Oregon, but it rains all the time. It rained all the time. I'm from Texas. It's sunny. It's supposed to be sunny. If it's not like 100 degrees, you're doing it wrong, guys. You're doing it wrong. That's my theory. That's my theory. Yeah, Michael says, everyone, exciting times to be alive. All right. It's about time for me to go. I've got to do some family stuff on Saturday. So I'm going to let y'all go. But everybody, thank you so much. I got another Texas question. I feel like I'm a bad Texan if I don't answer it. So what about Texas? What's your opinion of what? Of Texas? Texas is awesome. Texas rocks. We've got the best food, guys. Warm weather, sometimes a little too warm, sometimes a little too humid, but the best food, guys. Love it. Love it. Spicy and good. The way food should be. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a great Saturday, and love you guys, and I will see y'all next time.